New expansion is here, and we slowly but surely getting, kind of clue what is good and what is not. So we today gonna look at the four decks that doing pretty well. So let's look at them. First deck first, and it is Samira Janna, a deck that what I've heard is kind of becoming a little bit controversial because this deck is pretty good. I kinda made this deck. I was mentioning in the first video for the day one, and actually a little bit small updates to the list. But as we expected, as it was on the test server, this deck is very powerful. This deck is using the new Janna package to its full potential, and I'm gonna be honest with you, it's maybe too strong. Especially Janna on 4 into Cloudwinder on turn 5 is maybe a little bit too much, I would say. Because like the amount of cards that you see thanks to the updrafting 2 cards, next round getting the draw that are also discounted, especially if your Janna survives, they are discounted. Into the Cloudwinder, another draw, and like then leveling the Janna. I was even able to play Janna turn 4 and turn 5 level her because I had like multiple Mariners. The amount of pressure you put on the turn 5 and then turn 6 with this deck is just crazy. And especially with, combination with Samira, we know this champion's kind of broken still, even after the many nerfs that it got. This deck just works and it gets there. And not only it gets there on the board because you play like so many units because they are so cheap, thanks to the Mariner, thanks to, the discounts from Janna. So, for example, for Chief cost 0 mana, Icons cost 0 mana, Acquisition costs like 1 mana. But also, if you lose on the board eventually, because like some people go a little bit taller than you have so much burn. And especially thanks to the Wayland, that what I like to say a big death hand and blowback, as well like Iodo's term on things like elusive and Mystic Shot, you have so much reach, especially thanks to the amount of draw, that you just eventually gonna get there from like 10, 15 HP so easily. Uh, this deck is, as said, very powerful. It's so fun to play, to be honest, because like drawing cards is very fun usually because you have so many ways to play. You can be making very interesting plays. And something that maybe is kind of secretly broken and people are not like that much talking about is Howling Gear, that I want to give big shout out as a card because this card is one of the only good cards how to deal with Janna. And this very often just also not only Janna, but also dealing with things like Leona, Rahun, and much more threats that you're able to do with this. This card is so good, and I love the design of this card. And especially in the turns, like on the turn 5 and on the turn 6, when you have the big uh big swing turns, this card is helping you, stabilizing the board and it's working so well in this deck. They're overall deck fun, deck good. Question is if it's gonna stay here, and I would say that they're gonna stay here. But of course, something that maybe when we thinking about open, when we thinking about future, is that using Samura and Janna, I would say arguably maybe the two best champions in the game currently. So is it worth it to use them both in one deck when it can just get easily banned? That's gonna be the question for the future. But for later, it's definitely a good choice. So let's look at the second deck. Second deck, a deck that I expected to be good because this deck was very good in Eternal, and especially after getting new resources, even though, losing Fira and Torched, but getting so many new tools in this patch. Firstly, Sky Splitter, in my opinion, the best card of the new expansion. We're gonna see one more deck today, and this card is getting so much failed. I'm gonna be honest with you, I think this card is better than Torchant. The giving 3 health, giving 1 attack, it's just so powerful. One of the best cards of the new expansion. Maybe I would say even the best. Second card that this deck got is finally some interaction because very often, like in the Eternal, it was like, you don't want to play like single combat, it's kind of weird to play. But Gentleman's Duel is amazing single combat for formidables. It's working so well with this archetype because, of course, health is kind of like +2/+2, right? So you basically form up into single combat in one card for 3 mana. Valhyr Puppet working so well with both of your champions as is Volibear or Galio. Getting Galio on 6 is just straight up broken. And if you, I don't know, if you double draw this and getting then Volibear on 7 is also kind of broken. So yeah, that's the deck. Deck that I would assume I said you've seen in Eternal. Just go formidables, just go wide, and then kill your opponent with leveled Galio, or set up CS, or now with Volibear. deck is good. They're good, gonna do very well for you, and it's very straightforward as well. Same region combo, completely different deck. That is Gnar Jarvan. Of course, no new champion, so of course, if you're still excited about new champions, this is no deck for you. But if you want to be climbing, this is one of the best, if not the best deck currently. It's just something that we saw in Eternal, how Varden can be strong with at least Gnar. This is like kind of the standard version of it, and you kind of doing same thing, but in a much weaker format as standard is. Because let's be honest, the difference of power between standard and Eternal is huge, and you're basically doing the same thing, just playing good unit into good unit into good unit into good unit, and then on turn 8, you just play Varden of types and you win. Deck's good, don't know what much to add. If you want to just climb, this is deck for you, and I would definitely recommend playing it. I promised you another Sky Splitter deck, and here we are, Illaoi Volibear. I wanted to say Illaoi Swain, how much I'm used to it, but since Swain nerfs, unfortunately, Illaoi lost its pairing, and we found out that, Ferret is very good, especially because of Sky Splitter. And the combo with Illaoi plus Sky Splitter 9 health Illaoi is just something that especially PNZ decks cannot deal with at all. As well, like, this using as protection on tentacles and stuff and other things is also very powerful. Things like Seabows, of course, also benefits from it well. And especially in standard, once again, Illaoi package is just so good, especially since we're having the new addition from Tidal Invocation from the last Verities set. And combining it with the Sigil package of Volibear, with Valhyr's Prophet, with Durant, and Volibear, this deck just works so well. We're also using the new experts that honestly, I was not that hype on the others than the Shreema Noxus, but honestly, this Demacia Ferret is much better than I thought because, the 2-3, you very often just kill 2 units, getting the expert spell, destroying some landmark, destroying some equipment, or getting just the kind of bad guiding touch is still completely fine. Deck is amazing and very straightforward. We usually just mulligan for idol because let's be honest, even in Illaoi, Swain always the kind of issue was idol, so maybe Swain can get back while we're gonna cut this guy because this cat is very much carrying the whole Illaoi package. But yeah, let's look at the last deck. But yeah, meta is slowly evolving. We can see some, of course, the decks from the past also doing well. Things like Heimer Jace, Lurk is showing stats as well. Timo Elusive is doing very well. A deck that caught my attention as well was this Wildfire Abomination, I would say. Uh, Something to add on is it's all in on Wildfire. You play draw spells, draw spells, draw spells, and you only play spells while one of them is drawing a spell. You try to go early game just aggressive, and in the late game just kill your opponent with wildfires. This is some interesting deck. Still not sure how good it is, so that's why I'm not like official mentioning it, but something that I wouldn't be surprised if it's good because I played it, I played against it, and it was pretty good to be honest. But yeah, we're gonna see how the meta evolves. Of course, every time early days, it's gonna be changing a lot. Also, as we kind of tend to have now, is that we're gonna have some, before the open now, some new decks. So, the meta is still evolving. The new champion that we haven't mentioned now today is definitely Nilah. Nilah is just not showing up. The decks with her feel weird. And I think Nilah as the champion feels kind of weird. She's so hard to level up, while the payoff of her level up isn't that big. And yeah, it's just not strong enough. Um, she struggles. Her package is also not good, even though I would say that Vikash is amazing card. But the rest of the package is very sus. Especially like her champion spell is much weaker than I thought. And especially, for example, like Nilah Samira, the deck that was kind of helping myself before the patch, is just not showing up. I would say it's mostly because also the PNC stuff that is currently the meta doesn't do well for this deck because Summer is of course weak into things like Mystic Shot, and overall the deck is kind of weak into the Mystic Shot. And like the best Nilah deck so far is like Jinx Nilah. We might see something, but I was really not impressed by anything. That's also why I didn't mention any of the Nilah decks today. It's kind of a pity, but yeah, it's a kind of weird champ. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see eventually some Nilah deck. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it. You know, what are you enjoying? Because I think this patch is so cool. We have so many different decks, and there's definitely much more to come, much more to discover. So see you in the next video. Okay, bye.